Key appointments and changes. 1. General James Koang Chul, Deputy Minister of Defense, former governor of Upper Nile State, recently dismissed, a senior SPLM figure now placed in a defense position originally meant for the SPLMIO under the peace deal. The post had been vacant since March 2023 after General Kolthon Baylock was elevated to full defense minister. Political implication: this appointment sidelines SPLMIO's expected role and reinforces SPLM-IG's dominance over the security sector. 2. Major General Valentino Bach Makwe, commander of the Presidential Guard, Tiger Division, promoted from brigadier and reassigned from his previous role as Kiir's aide-de-camp, replaces General Philip Nyan, who had served just 5 months. Implication: frequent rotation of Tiger Division commanders prevents accumulation of independent military influence, keeping the president's immediate security apparatus firmly under his personal control. 3. Bani Gideon Maber, Minister of East African Community Affairs, replaces Deng Alor Kwol, former detainees group. Implication: the dismissal of a veteran like Deng weakens the FD's presence in government and tightens Kiir's grip over ministries tied to regional cooperation and diplomacy. Political analysis: power consolidation over reform. Political analyst James Baboya describes these moves as part of Kiir's long-term strategy to entrench one-party control while maintaining the outward appearance of adhering to the 2018 revitalized peace agreement, RERC. Key points of Baboya's critique: the peace agreement is being hollowed out, used symbolically to legitimize Kiir's authority while actual power sharing erodes. Appointments are based on loyalty rather than reform, ensuring subordinates remain dependent on Kiir's approval. The defense and security apparatus is centralized, turning national institutions into instruments of political control. Frequent reshuffling of senior commanders prevents military unity or potential dissent, sustaining Kiir's unchallenged position. Even competent technocrats like Bani Gideon Maber lack operational autonomy, limiting institutional effectiveness. Context and broader implications: the reshuffle occurs amid mounting political tension and a stalled peace implementation process, particularly concerning unification of forces and constitutional reforms. With SPLMIO's role in defense diminished, Machar's camp may interpret the move as another breach of the peace accord, potentially straining the unity government further. The removal of Deng Alor Kwol could alienate the former detainees group, already marginalized in the transitional political structure. The Tiger Division, having historical significance in past conflicts, remains the most politically sensitive unit in the SSBDF. Its leadership changes are closely tied to internal security calculations. President Kiir's latest decrees reflect a calculated tightening of executive control over security and foreign affairs, a pattern of managing elites through rotation, dismissal, and reassignment, ensuring no rival center of power emerges, a symbolic adherence to peace structures, but a practical shift towards centralized presidential dominance. Kiir sacks Presidential Guard's commander, appoints Valentino Bach Makwe. Juba, October 6, 2025. President Salva Kiir Mayardit has dismissed Major General Philip Nyan from his position as commander of the Presidential Guard's unit, widely known as the Tiger Division, and appointed Major General Valentino Bach Makwe as his replacement. The decree, read on the state-run South Sudan Broadcasting Corporation (SSBC) on Monday night, did not specify the reasons for the change. However, it marks another significant move in a continuing reshuffle of senior military and security leadership by the president. Major General Valentino Bach Makwe, the new commander, is a veteran officer in the South Sudan People's Defense Forces (SSBDF), who has previously held key operational and administrative roles. He is known within military circles for his loyalty to the presidency and his long service within the Tiger Division, where he once served as deputy commander before being transferred to other command duties. Major General Philip Nyan, who now exits the powerful position, was appointed in 2022 to lead the Tiger Division, a force tasked with the protection of the president, first family, and key state institutions. His tenure was marked by both operational discipline within the unit and occasional controversies over the division's involvement in internal security operations around Juba. The latest change follows a series of top-level military reshuffles in recent weeks. On the same evening, President Kiir also appointed General James Koang Chul as the new Deputy Minister of Defense, replacing Lieutenant General Colthon Baylock. These appointments suggest a broader recalibration within the defense sector, possibly aimed at consolidating command and tightening security around the presidency as political tensions persist ahead of the long-delayed general elections. The Tiger Division, headquartered in Juba, is regarded as one of the most powerful units in South Sudan's military structure, with direct reporting lines to the office of the president. Leadership of the unit is often seen as both a position of trust and a barometer of political alignment within the SPLM-led government. Prosecution presents new evidence in Machar treason trial. Juba, October 6, 2025. Prosecutors on Monday presented a series of documents and exhibits to the special court hearing the treason and terrorism case against suspended First Vice President Dr. Riek Machar, Tini, and 7 co-accused. During the session at Freedom Hall in Juba, advocate Dr. Sabri Wani Ladu, a member of the prosecution team, tendered prosecution document number 5, an autopsy report and death certificate for the late Major General James Major Dak, one of 256 soldiers killed in Nasir in March 2025. The autopsy report, dated March 10, 2025, and signed by Dr. Akram Jibril, confirmed the cause of death. Dr. Wani also submitted prosecution document number 7, comprising death certificates for all 256 SSBDF personnel reportedly killed during the Nasir incident. We took one of the late soldiers who were killed because of the crime committed by these persons as prosecution document number 7, Wani told the court. The death certificates were signed, stamped, and issued by the competent authority, the Ministry of Health, in accordance with the Evidence Act. Records showing Colonel Torgile Thoen as an SPLAIO member before leading the White Army, a list of Nasir survivors and SSBDF martyrs, a presidential decree integrating the Agwalek militia into the SSBDF, and documentation of weapons allegedly destroyed by the White Army. Other attachments comprise deployment orders for SSBDF forces in Nasir, 2018, a USB drive containing videos and audio recordings of the incident, a March 1, 2025 letter from Dr. Machar, and a press statement by SPLMIO spokesman Pal Mai Deng issued the same day. Wani said SSBDF representatives are expected to testify on the measures taken by the military based on these reports and witness intelligence. Digital forensic report and defense objections. The prosecution also submitted a digital forensic report prepared in South Africa, designated prosecution document number 9, which includes 15 attachments, such as custody logs, diplomatic correspondence, and analyses of laptops and mobile phones seized from the accused. Prosecutors said the evidence chain was maintained through diplomatic channels, with the materials transported to South Africa and returned to Juba after forensic analysis. The report, dated August 26, 2025, is expected to be key in linking the accused to communications and planning surrounding the Nasir incident. Prosecutors said the evidence chain was maintained through diplomatic channels, with the materials transported to South Africa and returned to Juba after forensic analysis. The report, dated August 26, 2025, is expected to be key in linking the accused to communications and planning surrounding the Nasir incident. These are official documents issued by competent authorities in South Sudan and South Africa, following standard procedures for chain of custody and authentication, Wani stated. However, presiding Judge James Alala Deng declined to immediately endorse the digital forensic report and related audiovisual evidence, saying the court must first hear testimony from the report's author. This is a technical document, Judge Deng said. Unless it is produced by the author and discussed by the defense, we will not mark it until we hear from the expert in person. The court also postponed marking of the videos and audios until they are played in court. Defense challenges cross-border cooperation. Defense lawyer Anis Tum Augustino objected to the digital evidence, questioning the legality of cooperation between South Sudan and South Africa. All correspondence between the South Sudanese government and other states must pass through official diplomatic channels, Tum argued, noting that the South African embassy in Juba had not formally acknowledged the transmission of materials, thereby undermining their validity. Adjournment and next steps. Judge Deng adjourned the proceedings to Wednesday, October 8, 2025, when forensic experts from South Africa are expected to testify on the digital evidence. Dr. Machar and his 7 co-accused face charges of treason, crimes against humanity, mass murder, terrorism, and destruction of property related to the March 2025 attacks on an SSBDF base in Nasir County. The government alleges that the assaults were carried out by SPLM/AIO forces allied with a White Army militia, resulting in the deaths of Major General James Major Dak and dozens of soldiers. Kiir promotes aid, reshuffles command of Elite Tiger Division, Juba, October 7, 2025. President Salva Kiir Mayardit has promoted his long-serving aide-de-camp, Brigadier General Valentino Bok-Makwe, to the rank of Major General and appointed him as the new commander of the Tiger Division, the elite presidential guard unit responsible for the security of the president and key state institutions. Major General Bok replaces Major General Philip Nyan, who has been elevated to the rank of Lieutenant General in the same set of presidential decrees read on state-owned South Sudan Broadcasting Corporation, SSBC, on Monday night. The Tiger Division, headquartered in Juba, is one of South Sudan's most powerful and best-equipped military formations within the South Sudan People's Defense Forces, SSBDF. It plays a central role in securing the presidency, the capital, and other strategic installations. The promotion of Valentino Bok, a trusted member of Kiir's inner circle, signals the president's continued reliance on loyalists within the military hierarchy amid ongoing political and security tensions. Bok has served as Kiir's aide-de-camp, ADC, for several years and is known for his close working relationship with the presidential office and household. Lieutenant General Philip Nyan, now promoted, has led the Tiger Division since 2021 and oversaw several operational reforms within the elite unit. His elevation to lieutenant general suggests he may be assigned to a senior command or advisory role within the SSBDF or the Office of the Commander-in-Chief. The latest reshuffle comes just a day after President Kiir appointed General James Koang Chul as Deputy Minister of Defense and Veterans Affairs, continuing a series of high-profile changes across the defense establishment in recent weeks. Analysts say the moves are part of the president's broader effort to restructure key security organs and reassert control ahead of the country's long-delayed general elections, expected in 2026. The presidential decrees did not specify the new posting for Lieutenant General Nyan or whether additional changes are expected within the Tiger Division's command structure. 2 dead, 5 missing after deadly boat attack in Yiral East. Yiral East, Lake State. October 7, 2025. At least 2 people have been killed and 5 others are missing after armed men attacked a civilian boat traveling along the Nile between Bor and Panjshir County on Monday, local officials have confirmed. The attack occurred near the shores of a Bang village in Yiral East County, an area long considered a hotspot for riverine insecurity. According to local authorities, the boat was carrying traders and passengers when it came under heavy gunfire from unidentified assailants positioned along the riverbank. Survivors said the attackers opened fire without warning, forcing the vessel to capsize as passengers tried to flee. Several others sustained injuries and were rescued by nearby fishermen. Yiral East County Commissioner Gatluak Maker Minion condemned the attack and called it a heinous act of terrorism, targeting innocent civilians. We are still searching for the 5 people reported missing. Security forces have been dispatched to the area to pursue the perpetrators, he said in a statement. The motive behind the attack remains unclear, but local sources suspect it could be linked to ongoing intercommunal tensions and criminal activity along the Nile corridor connecting Jonglei, Lakes, and Unity states. River transport is a lifeline for trade and movement in these regions, yet repeated ambushes have raised fears among travelers and traders. Community leaders have appealed to the national government to increase military patrols along the waterway and to strengthen cooperation between state authorities to secure key transport routes. Our people are scared to travel by river. The government must act now to stop these killings, said one elder from Panjshir County. Fighting erupts in a wheel between SSBDF and Titbai armed group, a wheel, Northern Bar El Ghazal. Heavy fighting broke out early Tuesday morning in a wheel between the South Sudan People's Defense Forces, SSBDF, and a local armed youth militia calling itself the Titbai Armed Force, according to eyewitnesses and local officials. Residents reported hearing heavy gunfire and explosions from the outskirts of a wheel town shortly after dawn, prompting hundreds of civilians to flee to nearby villages for safety. "We woke up to the sound of shooting everywhere," said one resident by phone. The soldiers and the youth were exchanging fire across the riverbank. The Titbai group, composed mainly of armed youth from Awil East and Awil North counties, describes itself as a community defense force protecting locals from what it calls outsiders and cattle raiders. However, state authorities and military officials have labeled the group a criminal militia responsible for insecurity in the area. A senior SSBDF officer in Awil, speaking on condition of anonymity, said the clashes erupted after Titbai fighters attacked a military outpost, sparking fierce retaliation. "Our forces are pursuing the attackers to prevent further violence and to restore law and order," the officer said. Casualties from both sides remain unconfirmed as of Tuesday afternoon. Background of the Titbai armed group. The Titbai militia emerged in recent years amid growing tensions between local communities and state security forces over cattle raids, land disputes, and political marginalization. Initially formed as a self-defense group, it gradually evolved into a heavily armed force accused of clashing with security units and raiding neighboring areas. Community elders and civil society leaders have repeatedly called for dialogue between the government and Titbai leaders to address the underlying grievances driving the conflict. "These young men took up arms because they felt abandoned and unprotected," said one community elder. "But violence will not solve our problems." As of Tuesday evening, security reinforcements had been dispatched to stabilize the situation, and authorities urged residents to remain indoors until calm is restored. UN warns South Sudan peace deal faces man-made collapse. Juba, October 7, 2025. A top United Nations official has accused South Sudan's leaders of engineering a man-made political crisis that has shattered the 2018 revitalized peace agreement and plunged the country toward famine. Anita Kiki-Biho, the UN's acting special representative in South Sudan. October 7, 2025. Juba. A senior United Nations official on Tuesday accused South Sudan's leaders of creating a man-made political crisis that has shattered the 2018 peace agreement, fueled a surge in civilian casualties, and pushed the world's youngest nation toward a catastrophic famine. Anita Kiki-Biho, the UN's acting special representative in South Sudan, delivered the stark warning at an emergency meeting of the body monitoring the country's peace process, its first session since February. She said the 2018 revitalized peace agreement is severely fractured by the warring parties' unilateral actions and selective adherence. "In our analysis, the challenges facing the peace agreement are man-made, fundamentally political, and only resolvable through inclusive dialogue," Biho told the reconstituted Joint Monitoring and Evaluation Commission, RJMEC. "The crisis facing the peace agreement in South Sudan," she said, "has had devastating consequences. The UN Human Rights Office recorded a 59% increase in civilian casualties from January to September compared to the same period last year, driven by aerial bombardments and direct violence between the agreement's principal signatories. The political crisis escalated dramatically in March," Biho said, when First Vice President Riek Machar, a key signatory of the 2018 peace deal, was placed under house arrest along with other senior members of his opposition party. Their subsequent trial, announced on the eve of the peace deal's anniversary, has deepened the schism, she added. "The United Nations remains impartial and committed to supporting the rule of law," Biho stated, while urging that all judicial proceedings adhere to international standards of fairness, transparency, and due process. "The political breakdown is exacerbating a severe humanitarian emergency." Biho reported that over 497,000 people have been newly displaced this year, nearly 321,000 by conflict and 175,000 by flooding. This is compounded by an influx of refugees from Sudan and other neighboring countries. "Humanitarian access is collapsing," she said. By the end of September, 70 access incidents were reported, more than double the number from September 2024. These incidents are increasingly violent, with aid workers, compounds, and supplies being targeted. Without urgent restoration of access, Particularly in conflict-affected areas, a full-scale food and nutrition catastrophe is possible, Biho warned. Nairal/AYOD. Local authorities in Jonglei State's Nairal County have warned of escalating violence following recent renewed cattle rustling between the Gawar Boer community in Ayad County and their Lu Nuer neighbors from Nairal. The warning comes in the wake of last week's incident in which armed youth from Nairal's Padang Payam reportedly attacked a cattle camp in Ayad, rustling cattle and leaving several people dead. Speaking to Radio Tamazuch, Peter Gatquath Koang, the Nairal County SPLMI-appointed commissioner, said the people of Padang are living in fear of an imminent retaliatory attack by youth from Ayad. 3 days ago, our youth from Padang attacked a cattle camp in Ayad. The attack was a heavy one. Cattle were raided and many people were killed, although the specific number is unclear, he stated. Gawar youth pursued the attackers. 18 Lu Nuer youth were killed, and all the raided animals were recovered. Now, people are living in fear that the Gawar youth may pursue the Lu Nuer youth deeper into Padang even after having recovered their cattle, Commissioner Gatquath added. He condemned the attack, which he says was politically motivated. Those youth had mobilized and left from Padang, an area where the government-appointed commissioner for Nairal is based, and this means the government is instigating the violence to destabilize our county, Gatquath said. Meanwhile, Nairal County Information Director Both Zhao also expressed concern over the escalating violence. This cycle of violence is occurring repeatedly, and before this incident, our youth from Padang also raided cattle from Ayad 3 weeks ago. In this latest incident, the information we received on Sunday was that Gawar youth pursued these people from Padang, killing 30 and recovering their cattle, he explained. We also learned that 10 Lu Nuer youth were captured alive. So, now there is fear that the fighting may reach Padang and the rest of Nairal. For his part, Ayad County Commissioner James Chul-Jeek condemned the attack as heinous and urged the Lu Nuer youth to restrain themselves. The attack was deadly, and a few weeks ago, Nairal youth successfully raided cattle from Cholbong, he said. 3 days ago, they came but were confronted. On our side, we lost 19 youths, and 10 were injured. Fighting is still ongoing in the bushes with the Lu Nuer youth. According to Commissioner Chul, all raided cattle were recovered. Some of the youth returned after fighting off the Nairal youth, and they will update me later in the day, he said.